Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another episode of Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 9. For those of you that don't know this series, it is a series where leading up to the Yu-Gi-Oh! 9 announcement, I go over a few different topics and ideas that either I've seen floated around the internet or just ideas that I think have a chance of happening for the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. For those of you that don't know, Go Rush is coming to an end, most likely in early 2024. That has not been confirmed, but if it goes the 2 years that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s went, we can expect that at this year's Jump Festa, there will be a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime announced, and some people think that new anime could be announced as soon as tomorrow. Tomorrow night, there is Worlds going on over in Japan, I believe, and there is going to be a 25th anniversary project announcement at that event. And what I wanted to talk about in this video is the likelihood that the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Series is going to be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters reboot, or perhaps a sequel, or maybe an original manga adaptation, because man, oh man, I have seen this floated around so much in the last few days. Sometimes all it takes is a few big Yu-Gi tubers, card game Yu-Gi tubers, to float out an idea, and then people start taking it as if it's confirmed, which is crazy. So I'm going to go over in this video why I think a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters reboot is very, very unlikely, which I know this is probably going to, rain on a lot of people's parades. I'm not the negative guy. I'm probably one of the more optimistic copium people out there when it comes to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, wanting a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie, believing we're always going to get a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. So this is kind of a weird stance for me to take, because I'm more optimistic with stuff like this, but when it comes to a reboot of Duel Monsters, there's a few reasons I just feel like it is not going to happen. First of all, I want to address the Duel Monsters sequel aspect. For those of you that might not remember, I believe we got a perfect sequel to conclude the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Story, and that was in the movie Dark Side of Dimensions, which released in 2016. Now, yes, I know Dark Side of Dimensions was a manga sequel, so if you want to say, oh, we might still get a sequel to the anime, yeah, I guess it wouldn't conflict with DSOD, but it would still feel weird. DSOD feels like the final love letter to the original Yu-Gi-Oh! And that movie I thought was really, really well done. It was very well received. So it's not like the movie completely flopped and we're all here as original Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans like, oh man, I wish we got one final good conclusion. That was it. Dark Side of Dimensions was it. And so I think when you look at the sequel aspect, I think it's already been done, and I think that's not very likely. Looking at the reboot, so here's the thing with the reboot of the original series, if they go down that route, there's two big reasons I think this is very, very unlikely. And the first is this: the point of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, a major point, is to sell the cards. Now, I'm not one of those people that believes the only point of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime is to sell cards, and that's the entire point of the anime. I think that grossly discredits a lot of the men and women that have worked on Yu-Gi-Oh! Throughout the years, whether it's voicing the characters and bringing the characters to life, whether it is animating the scenes, whether it's writing the stories. I think the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime has a lot more to offer than just being a long commercial to sell cards, which is what some people do consider it to be. I think there's characters and storylines that have resonated with a lot of us. It's the reason why I, 7 years later, continue to make videos on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. So it's a lot more than just that. But at the same time, I have no problem saying a major reason, and maybe the most important reason for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, is to sell products. I think that's a different statement than saying the only reason for the anime and the only thing the anime is good for is to sell products. I think those are two completely different statements. So just wanted to clarify that. And the main thing that I've been seeing floating around is the new archetype, which is Illusion, just got revealed a few months ago. That might be, as well with this like main ace, and I'll show it on screen, Nightmare Magician, that might be the new ace that Yugi is going to use, and that might be the new archetype that Yugi is going to use. And it feels very old school Egyptian Duel Monster style. And so an anime reboot makes sense, right? Because we have this Illusion archetype. It is true that the last time we got a new archetype was Cyburst, and that was played by the last Master Duel protagonist, Yusaku Fujiki, back in Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. But just because we have this archetype does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that it confirms any sort of Duel Monsters reboot. And the biggest issue with this is how are they going to promote new cards and new archetypes? If they did a Duel Monsters reboot, they would have to change the decks of every single character in that show. Yugimoto would have to use a new deck. I guess Illusion. Are we going to see Kaiba XZ summon? Are we going to see Joey, Link summon and Pendulum summon? I just feel like it would still feel very weird. And when most people talk about wanting a Duel Monsters reboot, I think they want it to either be true to the original manga, which if that's the case, there's no way to sell new product to the people that are watching, which as we just went over is a very important piece of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime puzzle. And if it was a reboot of the original anime, you would still need to change up a lot of the decks. You would need to add new cards to archetypes, and then are the only cards that we're getting in the sets that release in the real world, are they only going to be like Harpies for Mai and Tunes for Pegasus, and we're only going to update like old Duel Monsters era archetypes because we still want to have the characters use their old archetypes, but at the same time, we don't have really a way to get new archetypes into the character's arsenal unless we just completely rewrite them, and Mai maybe only uses Harpies for the first duel, and then she completely changes her deck. I guess they could do something like that with the characters, but I just think fitting all these new cards into a reboot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters would be very, very difficult, and it would feel weird. It would just feel weird to me. And the other really important element here that I think a lot of us are overlooking is Kazuki Takahashi. Kazuki Takahashi, the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh!, tragically passed away a little over a year ago. And this was his baby. The original Yu-Gi-Oh!, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga. He even got to write a great conclusion in Dark Side of Dimensions. The conclusion that he wanted to write, the finale that he wanted to part with when it came to these characters in this story. And so I feel like rebooting this show honestly would feel kind of disrespectful to the creator of the show. You would have a team of people, and now yes, the team of people might be people that were close with Takahashi, but you would have a team of people that would revive this show and have to write the characters and, change the duels because as we talked about, they're going to need to sell new product, and you'd have to do that all without Takahashi's oversight. And this was his story. This was his project, and we know that he wanted the story of Yu-Gi-Oh! To end after Duel Monsters, and then he wanted the story to end after GX, and then it just became a thing where he was like, all right, whatever, they can continue to make stories. It is what it is. It's not tied to the original Yu-Gi-Oh! And he supported all the spin-offs that were made. I remember when Vrain started, he put like an Instagram post up with a Vrain's cake. So he had a piece in designing, I think, Yuma from Zexal or a couple of the characters from Zexal. So he was very supportive of the spin-offs. But that being said, I feel like if we resurrect the original cast, it's just going to be a weird look and a weird feel without the man that actually made us fall in love with all of these characters and these stories being around. So I think that's another element of it that makes me think having a reboot is very, very unlikely. I think it was more likely a couple of years ago when Takahashi, I hate to say it, was around and was alive. But even then, I felt like he got to tell the final chapter with Dark Side of Dimensions, and he did a great job with it. And there's no need to revive these characters, and it'll just feel kind of like a cash grab. And I know reboots are a big thing right now, but I just think that the likelihood of them doing this for a multitude of reasons are very, very unlikely. I also do not think we are going to get an announcement tomorrow night. I know a lot of people are hyping it up, including myself. I mean, I'll be live, so I'm guilty of that as well. But I think we are going to get a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Announcement at this year's Jump Festa, which will be in December. But again, I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow night, but we'll see. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation about this. There's people that believe this is confirmed. It is certainly not confirmed, and I just wanted to give my thoughts in a formal video on why I think a reboot of Duel Monsters would be tough, and I think it's very, very unlikely, to just be completely honest. But let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic down below in the comments, and let me know any final predictions you have for what this 25th anniversary project announcement will be. I think it is going to be product and card game related. I don't think it'll be anime or movie or anything like that, but I guess we'll find out tomorrow night. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.